After I dropped my wife off at the airport for her business trip, my 8-year-old whispered, "Dad, we can't go home. I heard Mom planning something bad for us." So we hid. 10 minutes later, I froze when I saw 2 men entering my garage using my son's key code. Let me back up. My name is Ethan Broadley. I'm 45 years old, and I run a small home renovation company in suburban Massachusetts. Nothing fancy. I wear Carhartt pants with paint stains that won't come out, drive a Ford F-250 with tools rattling in the bed, and come home smelling like sawdust and drywall compound. My wife Mara works in marketing at a tech firm downtown. She wears blazers that cost more than my weekly grocery bill and carries a leather portfolio that makes a satisfying snap when she closes it. My son Caleb is 15, plays basketball, thinks he's cooler than he is, and has recently developed this habit of looking at me like I'm something stuck to the bottom of his shoe. My daughter Emma is 8, still thinks I hung the moon, and has a collection of stuffed animals she's arranged by color on her bed. We live in a 3-bedroom colonial with blue shutters and a yard that needs mowing more often than I get around to it. It's the kind of house you see in commercials for lawn fertilizer or family SUVs. The kind that says middle-class stability without actually delivering it. That Tuesday morning started normal enough. Mara had a 3-day conference in Chicago, sales strategies, synergy workshops, whatever corporate buzzwords they use to justify drinking on the company dime. I loaded her suitcase into the trunk while she checked her phone for the 14th time. "You remembered to pack your charger?" I asked. "Yes, Ethan." "And your presentation files are backed up?" "Yes, Ethan." She had this tone, like I was a child asking if we were there yet. I ignored it because that's what you do after 17 years of marriage. You ignore things. Emma sat in the back seat, clutching her stuffed elephant. Caleb stayed home, sleeping in like he did most days now. Mara kissed Emma goodbye through the window, gave me a perfunctory peck on the cheek that landed somewhere near my ear, and disappeared into the terminal with her rolling suitcase making that clicking sound on the concrete. "Daddy, can we get donuts?" Emma asked as I pulled away from the curb. "Sure, Princess. The good ones or the grocery store ones?" "The good ones." That meant the place on Oakwood with the sprinkles that were probably violating several health codes but tasted like childhood. I turned left instead of heading straight home. That's when Emma said it. "Dad, we can't go home." I glanced in the rearview mirror. She was staring at her elephant, not meeting my eyes. "Why not, sweetie?" "I heard Mom planning something bad for us." My first thought was that she'd overheard something taken out of context. Kids do that. They hear half a sentence and build a whole narrative around it. "What do you mean, something bad?" Emma's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "Last night, she was on the phone in her closet. She had it on speaker because she was packing. I was getting my stuffed bear from her room, and I heard." "Heard what?" "She was talking to Caleb. She said, 'Just stick to the plan. Once we're done with him, everything will be ours.'" My hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Are you sure that's what she said?" "Yes. And then Caleb said something about you breaking when they take the house." And Mom laughed. I wanted to tell her she'd misunderstood, that there was a reasonable explanation, that her mother wouldn't say something like that. But the thing is, I couldn't, because over the past few months, I'd noticed things. Little things that individually meant nothing, but together formed a pattern. Mara being secretive about her phone. Caleb suddenly interested in our finances, asking questions about property taxes and mortgage payments. Mara staying late at work more often. Caleb having long private conversations with her that stopped the moment I entered the room. I'd chalked it up to teenage hormones and work stress. Now I wasn't so sure. "Okay," I said, keeping my voice steady. "We'll skip the donuts for now. Let's just drive around a bit." "Are you mad at me?" "No, baby, I'm not mad at you. You did the right thing telling me." I drove aimlessly for a few minutes, my mind racing. If Emma had heard correctly, and I couldn't think of a reason she'd lie about something like this, then what exactly was the plan? Was Mara planning to divorce me? That wouldn't be the end of the world. Marriages ended all the time, but the phrasing bothered me. "Once we're done with him, everything will be ours." That didn't sound like a divorce. That sounded like something else. Against my better judgment, I circled back toward our street. Not to go home, just to see. I parked 2 houses down, partially hidden behind the Hendersons' overgrown hedges. Our house looked normal. The garage door was closed. Caleb's bike leaned against the side wall. The porch light I'd forgotten to turn off last night still glowed weakly in the morning sun. Then the garage door opened. Caleb stood in the opening, looking down at his phone. He typed something, waited, then stepped aside. A black Dodge Ram pulled into the driveway. 2 men got out. I didn't recognize either of them. The first was stocky, wearing a leather jacket despite the mild weather. The second was taller, thinner, with a shaved head that caught the light. They didn't look like friends of Caleb's. They looked like men who got paid to do things other people didn't want to do. Caleb handed something to the stocky one. From this distance, I couldn't see what it was, but the way the man pocketed it suggested paperwork. Documents. Then Caleb entered the code for the side garage door, the one that led directly into the house. The three of them went inside. My son had just let 2 strangers into my home. "Daddy, who are those men?" "I don't know, Princess." But I was going to find out. I pulled away slowly, not wanting to draw attention. My mind was cataloging everything I'd just seen with the same methodical approach I used when inspecting a renovation job. Problem identification, assessment, solution. Problem, my wife and son appeared to be conspiring against me. Assessment, unknown. Solution, get more information before making a move. I drove to a Dunkin' Donuts, the chain kind Emma hadn't wanted but would have to do. I needed coffee and a place to think. We sat in a booth by the window, Emma eating a chocolate glazed while I stared at my black coffee like it held answers. "Emma, I need you to tell me everything else you heard, every single word you can remember." "Someone else?" I couldn't see, but I heard another voice on the phone. A man. He called himself Uncle Dev. I didn't know any Dev. Mara didn't have a brother named Dev. None of her cousins went by that name. "What did Uncle Dev say?" "He said the paperwork was almost ready and that you wouldn't know what hit you." Paperwork. The stocky guy had received paperwork from Caleb. "Is there anything else, baby? Anything at all?" Emma thought for a moment. "Mom has a phone she keeps in her makeup drawer. A small one. She said it was for emergencies, but she uses it when you're not home. She was using it last night." A burner phone. My wife had a burner phone. I felt something shift in my chest. Not sadness, not yet. Something colder, more analytical. I was looking at my marriage like I'd look at a foundation crack, assessing the damage, determining if it could be repaired or if the whole structure needed to come down. "Okay," I said. "Here's what we're going to do. We're not going home right now. We're going to stay somewhere safe for a little bit while Daddy figures some things out. Can you be brave for me?" Emma nodded, clutching her elephant tighter. I called my foreman, Pete, a guy I'd worked with for 12 years, solid, trustworthy. Didn't ask questions he didn't need answers to. "Pete, I need a favor. You still have that cabin up in Grafton?" "Yeah, why?" "Can I use it for a few days? Family emergency." "Keys are under the turtle planter by the back door. It's yours." "I owe you." "You've covered my ass enough times, Ethan. We're square." The cabin was 40 minutes northwest, buried in enough woods that you couldn't see your neighbors. Pete used it for hunting season and occasional escapes from his wife's book club meetings. It had electricity, running water, and enough distance from my current problem to let me think clearly. We stopped at a Target on the way. I bought Emma some clothes, toiletries, snacks, and a coloring book. Paid cash. I wasn't sure why I paid cash instead of using my card, but some instinct told me to avoid leaving a trail. The cabin was exactly as I remembered it. 1 bedroom, a pull-out couch, a kitchen that smelled like pine and propane, and a back porch that overlooked absolutely nothing but trees. I got Emma settled with her coloring book and a bag of gummy bears. "I'm going to make some phone calls, okay? You stay inside and don't answer the door for anyone but me." "Okay, Daddy." I stepped onto the back porch and dialed Mara's number. It went straight to voicemail. She'd turned her phone off. Or more likely, she was screening calls, waiting to see if I'd discovered whatever they'd set in motion. I tried Caleb next. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Dad? Where are the men who were in the house?" Silence. Then, "What men?" "Don't play stupid, Caleb. I saw you let them into the garage. Who are they?" More silence. I could hear him breathing, trying to decide how to play this. "They're Mom's friends. They're helping with something." "Helping with what?" "I can't tell you that." "You can't or you won't." "Dad, just stay away from the house for a few days, okay? It's better that way." My 15-year-old son was telling me to stay away from my own house. Put one of them on the phone. "I can't do that." "Caleb, I swear to God." He hung up. I stood there holding my phone, staring at the trees, feeling something dark and cold settling into my bones. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a communication breakdown that could be fixed with a calm conversation. This was a plan, a coordinated effort, and my own family was executing it. I went back inside. Emma was coloring a picture of a unicorn with careful precision, staying inside the lines. "Everything okay, Daddy?" "Everything's fine, Princess." But it wasn't fine, And before this was over, it was going to get a lot worse. While you're here, hit the hype button, don't forget to subscribe and support this channel with a like. And tell us below, have you ever faced something like this? That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on Pete's uncomfortable couch, staring at the ceiling, my mind running through scenarios. What were they planning? If it was just divorce, why the secrecy? Why the burner phone and the strange men in Caleb's involvement? Around 2 a.m, I made a decision. I needed to see what was in that house, what those men had been doing, what paperwork they'd been handling. I drove back alone, leaving Emma asleep in the cabin's bedroom. The drive felt longer in the dark. Every mile marker another opportunity to talk myself out of this. But I kept going. I parked 3 streets over and walked through backyards, avoiding streetlights. Our house was dark except for the porch light. Caleb's bedroom window glowed with the blue light of a television or computer screen. I used my key on the back door, moving slowly to avoid the creak I'd been meaning to fix for 6 months. The house smelled different. Cologne I didn't recognize. Cigarette smoke, which we never allowed inside. I stood in the kitchen, letting my eyes adjust, listening for any sound of movement upstairs. Nothing. I moved through the downstairs with the caution of a man who suddenly didn't trust his own home. Everything looked normal. The furniture in the same places, Emma's drawings still on the refrigerator, my work boots by the side door where I always left them. But in my office, the small room off the kitchen where I kept job files and billing records, something was different. The file cabinet was open. The drawer where I kept property documents, the house deed, insurance papers, all of it was pulled out, the folders rifled through. They'd been looking for something specific. On my desk, I found what they'd been searching for. Photocopies. Someone had copied the house deed. The title insurance papers, the mortgage statements, even the property tax records. They'd made neat stacks, probably to be picked up or photographed. Beneath those stacks, I found something worse. A document I'd never seen before. It had my name on it, typed in an official-looking header. The title read, Incident Report, Domestic Disturbance. I picked it up, my hands shaking slightly. It was dated 3 months ago. According to this report, police had responded to our address following a call about domestic violence. The report claimed I'd grabbed Mara during an argument, that Caleb had witnessed it, that I'd been verbally abusive and threatening. None of this had happened. There was a signature at the bottom. Not from any police officer I recognized. The whole thing looked official, but felt wrong, like a stage prop designed to pass casual inspection, but fall apart under scrutiny. This was what they were building, a narrative. A false history that painted me as dangerous, unstable, a threat to my own family. If this made it in front of a judge, combined with testimony from Mara and Caleb, I'd be looking at a restraining order. Maybe worse. I photographed every page with my phone, being careful to keep the camera steady and the lighting even. Then I carefully replaced everything exactly as I'd found it. Moving upstairs was riskier, but I needed to see more. I needed to know how deep this went. Caleb's door was closed, the television still flickering underneath. I moved past it to the master bedroom. The bed was made, Mara's side still neat despite her absence. I went straight to her closet, to the built-in dresser where she kept her makeup. The burner phone was there, exactly where Emma had said it would be. I turned it on, keeping the brightness low. No password. Sloppy of her. But then again, she hadn't expected me to be looking. The recent calls list told me everything I needed to know. Multiple calls to someone labeled D in the contacts. That would be Dev, the mysterious uncle. The call logs showed they'd been in contact almost daily for the past 2 months. Text messages to Caleb, coordinating times and meetings. One from yesterday read, "Make sure you're home when they arrive. Give them the documents from the desk. Don't talk to your father if he calls." And messages to someone named Rachel. I recognized the number. Rachel Pemberton, Mara's friend from her book club. Except these messages had nothing to do with books. How much longer until the lawyer finalizes everything? Did you move the money like we discussed? Once Ethan's out, we can proceed with the sale. The sale? They were planning to sell the house. Our house. The house I'd put the down payment on with money I'd saved from my first 3 years of contracting. The house where Emma had taken her first steps, where Caleb had learned to ride a bike in the driveway. I photographed every message, every call log, every contact. Then I turned off the phone and placed it back exactly where I'd found it. That's when I heard the footsteps. Caleb's door opened. I heard him walk down the hall to the bathroom. I had maybe 30 seconds before he'd be back in his room and I'd be trapped in here. I moved fast but quiet, slipping out of the master bedroom and down the hall in the opposite direction, toward the stairs. Caleb was still in the bathroom, the door closed, the sound of running water covering my footsteps. I made it to the kitchen before I heard his door close again. That was too close. I let myself out the back door, locked it behind me, and walked back through the dark neighborhoods to my truck. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but from rage. The kind of cold, controlled rage that makes your hands steady and your mind sharp. They thought they were being clever, coordinating behind my back, building their case against me with fake documents and a conspiracy involving people I didn't even know. But they'd made mistakes, and I'd found them. Back at the cabin, I sat on the porch as the sun came up, drinking coffee I'd made too strong, scrolling through the photographs on my phone. Emma was still asleep inside, safe for now. I needed help, but I couldn't go to the police. Not with fake reports already in play. They'd see the documents, see a domestic situation, and I'd be fighting against a system designed to protect women and children from men like the one they were pretending I was. I needed information. I needed leverage. I needed to understand who Dev was and what exactly they were planning. I called in sick to work, something I never did. Pete didn't ask questions, just told me to take the time I needed. Then I started making calls. First, to a private investigator I'd worked with years ago on an insurance fraud case involving a client's property damage claim. His name was Tom Whitlock, and he owed me a favor for referring him 3 other cases. Tom, I need background on someone. Name is Dev, probably short for Devon or Devon. Connected to my wife Mara Broadley, might be a coworker or business associate. Can you run that? How fast do you need it? Yesterday. Give me 4 hours. Next, I called a lawyer. Not a family lawyer, not yet. A buddy from high school who'd gone into real estate law. His name was Brian, and we still grabbed beers occasionally. Brian, hypothetically, if someone tried to forge a police report to use in a custody case, what would happen? Hypothetically, that's a felony, fraud, possibly conspiracy depending on who's involved. Why? Just curious. Ethan, are you in trouble? Not yet. If you need real help, call me. Don't try to handle this alone. But that's exactly what I was going to do. Handle it alone. Because the moment I brought in lawyers and made this official, everything would move into a system I couldn't control. Courts, custody evaluations, he said, she said testimony where Mara and Caleb's version would sound just as plausible as mine. No, I needed to handle this my way. Tom called back 3 hours later. Dev is Devon Pierce, 42 years old, works at the same company as your wife, VP of Business Development. Divorced 2 years ago, messy split, accusations of financial infidelity on both sides. He's got money, lives in a condo downtown worth about $800,000. Credit check shows recent large purchases, nothing criminal in his background. Anything else? Yeah, he and your wife have been seen together outside of work. My contact at a restaurant downtown recognized them from the photo I showed. They've had dinner there at least 4 times in the past month, always on nights you'd have been working late. So it wasn't just a conspiracy, it was an affair, or the beginning of one. Mara was planning to replace me, not just get rid of me. Thanks, Tom. What do I owe you? Nothing yet, but if this gets uglier, I want the full investigation contract. Deal. I hung up and stared at Emma's coloring book, abandoned on the porch table. She'd drawn a picture of our family. 4 stick figures holding hands in front of a blue rectangle house. She'd colored Caleb in orange, which seemed appropriate. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Mr. Broadley, we need to talk. This is Detective Harris with the state police. Please call me at your earliest convenience. I didn't recognize the name, and state police wouldn't typically contact me by text. I didn't call back. Instead, I called Tom again. Do you know a Detective Harris with the state police? Give me the number. I read it to him. He was quiet for a moment, and I could hear typing. That number isn't registered to any law enforcement agency in Massachusetts. It's a burner phone, bought 3 days ago at a convenience store in Worcester. Someone was pretending to be a cop, and they wanted me to call them. This wasn't just a divorce conspiracy anymore. This was something bigger, something coordinated and deliberate and dangerous. I needed to know what I was really fighting, and I needed to do it before they made their next move. The next morning, I started my counteroffensive, not with lawyers or courts, with information. I created an anonymous email account and sent a simple message to Dev's girlfriend in Boston. No threats, no drama, just a link to a folder of photographs showing Dev and Mara at dinner, at a hotel, getting into a car together, time-stamped, dated, undeniable. Subject line: thought you should know. I didn't wait to see the fallout. I moved to the next target. Rachel Pemberton had transferred the money back to our joint account, but she was still complicit, still part of the conspiracy. She worked at an accounting firm, one that prided itself on ethics and integrity. I sent her boss an anonymous tip about her involvement in financial fraud, included bank records showing the suspicious transfers, suggested they might want to review her client accounts for similar irregularities. Then I turned my attention to Caleb. My son had been spreading lies about me at school, telling anyone who'd listen that I was abusive, dangerous, controlling. Those lies had social consequences, but they also had limits. Teenage gossip burns hot and fast, but it needs fuel. I made sure the fuel ran out. Tom had collected screenshots of Caleb's friends discussing his stories. The screenshots showed inconsistencies, moments where Caleb's details didn't match up, questions from his friends that he'd dodged. I had Tom send those screenshots to Sarah Fletcher, Caleb's ex-girlfriend. She'd already been suspicious. This confirmed it. She did what angry 15-year-olds do best. She posted about it. Not mentioning names, but everyone knew who she meant. When someone lies about their parents to get sympathy and you find out it's all fake. Her friend group picked it up, started asking questions. Caleb's story began to crumble under scrutiny. I wasn't done. I'd learned that Caleb had applied for a prestigious summer basketball camp, the kind that scouts attended, the kind that could lead to college opportunities. His application was pending, waiting on a character reference from his coach. I made sure his coach knew about the situation, not through direct contact, that would look vindictive, but through a mutual acquaintance who mentioned that Caleb was involved in a complicated family fraud case and might not be the best representation for the program. The coach pulled his recommendation. Caleb's camp acceptance was revoked. Every piece was small, none of it illegal, none of it directly traceable to me, but together they formed a pattern. Caleb's social circle was collapsing. His opportunities were disappearing. His lies were catching up to him. And I was just getting started. Mara's company was next. She was good at her job, I'd give her that. But she'd been using company resources for personal business. The burner phone, purchased with a corporate credit card. Those dinners with Dev, expensed as client meetings. I sent an anonymous complaint to her company's ethics hotline. Attached documentation. Let them do the rest. 2 days later, Tom called. Rachel Pemberton was put on administrative leave. Her firm is investigating. Good. Dev's girlfriend broke up with him, loudly, in the lobby of his building. His ex-wife's lawyer has filed a motion to revoke his business assets for unpaid alimony. Better. Mara's being investigated at work for expense fraud. Perfect. Ethan, I have to ask, what's the end game here? You're destroying them piece by piece, but where does it stop? When they have nothing left to take from me. And then? Then I rebuild, with Emma, without them. Tom was quiet for a moment. Be careful you don't become what they accused you of being. I'm not abusing anyone. I'm just making sure the truth has consequences. Truth and revenge aren't the same thing. They are when the truth destroys you. I hung up and checked my phone. A text from Lisa. Court date is tomorrow. Be there at 9. And please tell me you've been staying out of trouble. I texted back. See you at 9. That wasn't an answer, but she didn't push. That night, I drove past the house one more time. I couldn't help it. Some part of me still thought of it as home, despite everything. Caleb was outside, sitting on the porch steps. Even from the street, I could see his posture. Shoulders slumped, head down, phone dark in his hands. For just a moment, I felt something that might have been pity. He was 15. Stupid, yes. Manipulated by his mother, definitely. But still a kid who'd made a catastrophic choice and was now living with the consequences. Then I remembered him letting those men into the house. Remembered him lying to his friends. Remembered him telling me to stay away, that it wasn't my home anymore. The pity evaporated. I drove back to Pete's cabin and spent the night preparing for court. Lisa had outlined our strategy. We'd present the evidence of fraud, show the falsified documents, demonstrate Mara's financial misconduct, let the judge see the whole picture. We're not trying to destroy her, Lisa had said. We're trying to show she's unfit to have custody and that her allegations against you are fabricated. That's all we need. But I wanted more than that. I wanted her to understand what she'd lost, what they'd all lost by trying to take everything from me. The hearing the next morning was supposed to be straightforward. Dr. Bradford presented her evaluation. She'd found no evidence that I was a danger to Emma. She'd noted the inconsistencies in Caleb's testimony. She'd recommended that Emma remain with me, with supervised visitation for Mara until the divorce proceedings were finalized. Mara's lawyer tried to fight it, brought up the police reports. But Lisa was ready. Your Honor, we've subpoenaed the actual police departments. None of these reports exist in their systems. They're fabrications. The judge looked at Mara. Mrs. Broadley, did you create these documents? Mara's face went pale. Someone else handled that. Who? I don't know his name. You presented fabricated police reports to this court and you don't know who made them. It wasn't supposed to. I mean, we just needed... She was unraveling. Judge Paulson's expression hardened. Mrs. Broadley, I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for investigation of potential fraud. In the meantime, I'm awarding temporary full custody of Emma Broadley to her father, Ethan Broadley. You'll have supervised visitation 2 hours per week until the final custody hearing in 60 days. If you're charged with fraud, that arrangement may change further. The gavel came down. We'd won. Outside the courthouse, Lisa grabbed my arm. You did it. Full custody. But Ethan, this isn't over. She can still fight, and if she's charged criminally, this gets even messier. I understand. Do you? Because right now, you look like a man planning something I don't want to know about. I'm just planning to pick up my daughter and take her home. To which home? The court said you can't enter the marital residence. Then I'll find somewhere else. Rent an apartment. Whatever it takes. Lisa studied me. You're different than when we started this. Harder. Wouldn't you be? Yes. But hard enough to win and hard enough to lose yourself are sometimes the same thing. Don't cross that line. I thanked her and left. I drove to New Hampshire to get Emma. My sister met me at the door, Emma already packed and ready. She's been asking for you every day, Amy said. Whatever happened in court, I hope it was good news. It was. I have full custody. Amy hugged me. I'm glad. She belongs with you. Emma ran out, threw her arms around me. Daddy, can we go home now? Soon, Princess. First we're going to find a new place, just you and me. What about Caleb and Mom? They're going to live somewhere else for a while. Good. I don't want to see them. The words were harsh, coming from an 8-year-old. But I understood them. They'd scared her. Used her. She had every right to feel that way. We drove back to Massachusetts, Emma chattering about everything Amy had let her do, baking cookies, watching movies, playing with Amy's dog, normal kid stuff that she should have been doing at home. I found a furnished apartment in Worcester, 20 minutes from my work sites. 2 bedrooms, clean, safe. Not home, but it would do until I figured out what came next. That night, after Emma was asleep in her new room, I sat on the balcony and checked my phone. Messages from Mara, dozens of them. Please call me. We need to talk. I never wanted it to go this far. Can we just talk? Please? I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say to her. But there was one more conversation I needed to have. I called Caleb. He answered on the 5th ring. Dad, we need to talk. I don't know what to say. You can start with the truth. Why did you do it? Silence. Then quietly, Mom said we'd lose everything if we didn't. She said you were going to leave us broke, that we needed to act first. And you believed her? She's my mom. I thought she knew what she was talking about. Did you ever think to ask me? You were always working, always busy. Mom said you didn't care about us anymore, that you only cared about your business. So you let her convince you to destroy me. I didn't think it would be like this. I don't know what I thought. You thought you'd get a new family, new money, new life, without the dad who was too busy and too boring. I'm sorry. The words hung there. 2 words that meant nothing and everything. Sorry doesn't fix what you did, Caleb. Sorry doesn't give me back the months of my life I spent fighting this. Sorry doesn't undo the lies you told or the damage you caused. I know. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're a kid who chose wrong and is now dealing with consequences. But you're not the victim here. Remember that. Are you ever going to forgive me? I don't know. Ask me again when you're an adult and understand what you actually did. I hung up. The conversation didn't make me feel better. It didn't resolve anything, but it was necessary. Caleb needed to hear that his choices had weight, that his actions mattered. Whether he'd learn from it was up to him. I went back inside, checked on Emma one more time. She was asleep, her stuffed elephant tucked under her arm, breathing softly. This was what I'd fought for. Her safety, her future, her ability to grow up without being a pawn in someone else's game. Tomorrow, I'd start rebuilding, find a permanent place to live, get back to full-time work, establish a routine that felt normal. But tonight, I let myself feel what I'd been holding back for weeks, relief, exhaustion, and a cold satisfaction that I'd won. 2 weeks after the custody hearing, things started to settle into a new normal. I'd rented a small house in Auburn, closer to work, with a backyard Emma loved and enough space that we didn't feel cramped. She'd enrolled in a new school, made a few friends, and seemed lighter somehow. Less worried, more like the kid she'd been before all this started. I picked her up from school every day at 3, a routine that became the anchor of both our schedules. We'd stop for ice cream on Wednesdays, hit the library on Fridays, and spend weekends fixing up the house or exploring the area. It felt almost normal. Almost. But Mara wasn't done. Neither was Dev. The DA had declined to press charges on the fabricated police reports. Insufficient evidence, they said, despite everything we'd provided. Apparently, without being able to prove who actually created the documents, they couldn't make a case stick. Mara claimed she'd received them from someone she wouldn't name, and without that person to question, the whole thing stalled. It infuriated me, but Lisa said it was expected. Prosecutors don't like family cases. Too messy, too hard to prove intent. But this doesn't mean you lost. You still have custody. You still won where it matters. She was right, but it didn't feel like enough. Mara had moved out of the house and into an apartment downtown. Dev had distanced himself from her after his girlfriend drama and the alimony mess, apparently deciding that Mara wasn't worth the trouble she brought. Caleb was still living in the family house, alone, at 15. That bothered me more than I wanted to admit. Not because I felt sorry for him, but because it was irresponsible. Mara was letting him stay there unsupervised, probably because moving him would mean admitting defeat or dealing with logistics she didn't want to handle. I kept tabs through Tom, who kept tabs through various sources. Caleb was skipping school, his grades had tanked, his basketball career was over after the camp rejection, and several incidents where he'd mouthed off to his coach. "The kid's spiraling," Tom said during one of our check-ins. "You going to do something about it?" "Like what? He made his choice." "He's 15. Kids that age make dumb choices all the time. Doesn't mean they should self-destruct." Not my problem anymore. But it was, and I knew it. I just wasn't ready to deal with it yet. The divorce proceedings moved forward. Mara wanted the house. I wanted her to have nothing. Then Tom called with news that changed everything. "You remember how you had me dig into the house ownership?" "Yeah, it's in Emma's name. That was the whole point." "Right. But there's something you need to know. The transfer was never properly recorded. There's a filing error from 8 years ago. Technically, legally, the house is still in your name and Mara's as joint owners." My stomach dropped. "What?" "The lawyer who handled the trust setup screwed up. Didn't file the right paperwork with the county. It was supposed to be in Emma's name, but legally it never transferred." "So Mara has a claim to it." "She has an equal claim, yes, which means in the divorce it's a marital asset that'll be split or sold." I felt that cold rage return. The one card I'd thought was unbeatable, the thing I'd been counting on to keep the house safe, was worthless. "Can we fix it now?" "Not retroactively. The court will see it as an asset you both owned throughout the marriage. Trying to transfer it now would look like you're hiding assets." So we're back to square one. Worse than square one. Because now Mara's lawyer knows about the attempted transfer and is arguing you tried to defraud her by hiding the house. It's not going to stick legally, but it makes you look bad. I hung up and sat in my truck outside one of my job sites, staring at nothing. The house. The thing I'd been fighting for. The place Emma had grown up. The property I'd poured sweat and money and years of work into. It was going to be split or sold, divided like any other asset, and there was nothing I could do about it, unless I changed tactics entirely. That night, I made a decision. I called Mara. She answered immediately. "Ethan, thank God. I've been trying to reach you for weeks." "I know. I got your messages." "Why haven't you responded?" "Because I had nothing to say, but now I do." "Okay, I'm listening." "We need to end this. The lawyers, the fighting, all of it. It's expensive and it's ugly and neither of us is winning." "I agree. So what are you proposing?" "You want the house. Fine. Take it. I'll sign over my share, but there are conditions." "What conditions?" 1. You never contact Emma again unless she asks to see you. No supervised visits, no calls, nothing. You disappeared from her life the moment you dragged her into your scheme. "Ethan, she's my daughter." 2. You drop any and all claims to my business, my retirement accounts, and any other assets. The house is all you get. "That's not fair." 3. You admit in writing that the allegations you made against me were false. Not for court, not for public record. Just a signed statement that I can keep. Silence on the line. "Why would I agree to any of this?" she finally asked. "Because if you don't, I'll make sure you spend the next 5 years in litigation hell. I'll drag out every filing, contest every motion, spend every dollar I have to make sure you get nothing, and when the house finally sells to pay the legal fees, neither of us will have anything left." "You'd burn everything down out of spite?" "I'd burn everything down to make sure you don't profit from what you did." "Yes." More silence. "I need to think about it." You have 24 hours. After that, the offer disappears, and we go back to war. I hung up before she could respond. It was a gamble. She might call my bluff, force me to follow through on the threat. But I didn't think she would. Mara was practical. Always had been. She'd evaluate the options and pick the path of least resistance. And if she didn't, well, I meant every word I'd said. I'd burn it all down before I let her win. The next afternoon, my phone rang. Mara, I accept your terms, with one change. What change? I want to see Emma. Not regular custody, just one visit. One chance to explain things to her. After that, if she doesn't want to see me, I'll respect it. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to say no, to deny her even that. But Emma deserved to make her own choice about her mother. Supervised, with me present, and if Emma says no, you walk away. Deal. I'll have the paperwork drawn up. You sign, then we arrange the visit. Okay. We hung up. I sat there feeling something I hadn't expected. Not victory, not satisfaction, just exhaustion. This should have felt like winning, but it felt like surviving. Like crawling across a finish line that didn't mark the end of anything, just the beginning of whatever came next. I told Emma that night, Your mom wants to see you, to talk. You don't have to if you don't want to. Emma looked up from her homework. Will you be there? If you want me to be. Then okay, but just this once. We met at a park the following Saturday. Neutral ground, public, safe. Mara was already there when we arrived, sitting on a bench, looking smaller than I remembered. She'd lost weight. Her hair was pulled back in a way that made her face look drawn. Emma walked up slowly, staying close to me. Hi, baby, Mara said softly. Hi. Can I talk to you for a minute? Emma looked at me. I nodded. She sat on the bench, but kept distance between herself and Mara. I'm sorry, Mara started. I'm sorry for scaring you. For the things you heard, for everything that happened. Why did you do it? Emma asked. I thought I was doing what was best. I thought your dad and I couldn't be together anymore. And I thought if I didn't plan carefully, we'd lose everything, but I was wrong. I hurt people, I hurt you, and I'm so sorry. Emma was quiet for a moment. Then, are you going to live with us again? No, baby. Your dad and I are getting divorced, but that doesn't mean I don't love you. If you loved me, you wouldn't have scared me. The words were simple, devastating. Mara's face crumpled. You're right. I should have protected you. Instead, I used you. That was wrong. Emma looked at her for a long moment. Then she stood up. I don't want to see you anymore. Emma, please. You made me scared of my own house. You made Dad sad. You made everything bad. I don't want to see you. She walked back to me, took my hand. We left Mara sitting on the bench. In the truck, Emma was quiet. Did I do the right thing, Daddy? You did what felt right to you. That's all anyone can do. Is Mom going to be okay? Eventually, but that's not your responsibility. She nodded and looked out the window. We drove home in silence, Emma's hand still in mine. The paperwork was finalized 2 weeks later. Mara signed over everything except the house. I signed away my claim to the house. The divorce was granted without contest. I took Emma to see the house one last time before Mara sold it. We walked through the empty rooms, now stripped of furniture and memories. This was my home, Emma said quietly. It was, and now we'll make a new one. Will it be better? I'll make sure of it. We left without looking back. 3 months later, I bought a house in Worcester, smaller than the old one, but ours. Just Emma and me. Caleb had moved in with Mara after the old house sold. I heard through mutual contacts that he'd switched schools, was trying to turn things around. I didn't reach out. Maybe someday. But not yet. Life settled into something resembling normal. Work, Emma's school, weekends fixing up the new place. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was the life I'd fought for, and that had to be enough. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I was on a job site in Leicester when Tom called. I almost didn't answer. I told him I was done with investigations, done with digging up dirt, done with all of it. But something made me pick up. Ethan, we have a problem. I stepped away from the noise of power tools. What kind of problem? The kind where Mara and Dev are back together, and they're planning something. My jaw tightened. They can plan whatever they want. I have full custody, the divorce is final, and she has no claim to anything I have. It's not about that. It's about the house. What house? No, she sold it 3 months ago. She didn't. She told you she sold it. She told the court she sold it. But the sale fell through at the last minute. She still owns it. And now she and Dev are living there. I felt that familiar cold rage return. She lied about the sale? There was a sale pending. It just never closed. Some issue with the buyer's financing. And instead of telling anyone or putting it back on the market, she kept it quiet and moved Dev in. Why would she do that? That's where it gets interesting. Dev's business went under, the alimony situation and the financing problems crushed him. He's basically broke. And Mara's not doing much better. She lost her job after the expense fraud investigation. Good. But here's the thing, they're using the house to run some kind of scheme, renting it out on short-term rental sites without permits, taking deposits and security from tenants, then claiming damages to keep the money. Tom's voice dropped. And they're using Caleb to do the showings. That stopped me. Caleb's involved? Seems like it. He's the one meeting potential renters, showing them around, collecting payments. Whether he knows it's a scam or just thinks he's helping his mom, I can't say. How long has this been going on? At least 2 months. I found complaints online from 3 different people who paid deposits and then showed up to find the place already occupied or trashed. The reviews are brutal. I closed my eyes. They'd learned nothing. Mara had gone from one scheme to another, and now she'd dragged Caleb deeper into it. Can we report this? To who? The rental platforms? They'll shut down the listings. The housing authority? They'll investigate, maybe fine them, but nothing that'll really hurt. Then what do you suggest? I suggest you walk away. It's not your house anymore, not your problem. Let them dig their own grave. He was right. This wasn't my fight. But Caleb was 15, almost 16 now. Still a kid. And whether I wanted to admit it or not, he was still my son. I thanked Tom and hung up. That night, I drove past the old house. It was after 10, dark except for the porch light and a glow from the living room window. I parked down the street and watched. Dev's truck was in the driveway. The house looked maintained, at least from the outside, nothing obviously wrong, but knowing what was happening inside made my skin crawl. I thought about calling the police, reporting the rental scam, but that would mean investigations, questions, potentially involving Caleb in legal trouble. I thought about confronting Mara directly, but what would that accomplish? She'd lie, deny, twist things until I was the bad guy again. Then I thought about a different approach. If they were running a rental scam, they were depending on victims who didn't know any better. People who saw the listing thought they'd found a good deal and handed over money without doing proper research. What if those potential victims knew the truth before they paid? I spent the next day creating something I'd never thought I'd make, a detailed website documenting the rental scam. I didn't use my name, didn't make accusations I couldn't back up, just facts. Copies of rental listings with dates, screenshots of complaints from previous victims, photos of the house with timestamps showing it was occupied when it was supposedly available, public records showing no rental permit on file with the city. I didn't say it was fraud. I just presented information and let people draw their own conclusions. Then I did something else. I found every rental listing they'd posted and added comments as a former neighbor warning about issues with the property and the landlord. Professional, factual, damning. Within a week, the rental listings disappeared. Tom called me. Whatever you did, it worked. They pulled everything down. Good. But Ethan, you need to know. Mara's in trouble. Real trouble. She defaulted on the mortgage. The bank's starting foreclosure proceedings. How long does she have? 3 months, maybe 4 if she fights it. But she doesn't have the money to catch up on payments, and without the rental income, she can't make new ones either. So she loses the house? She loses everything, and when the bank forecloses, there won't be any equity left. She'll walk away with nothing. Part of me felt satisfaction at that. The house she'd fought so hard to keep would be taken from her by her own poor decisions. But another part of me felt something else. Emma had lived in that house her whole life until this year. It was still her home in some ways, even if we'd moved on, and Caleb was there. Whatever he'd done, whatever mistakes he'd made, he didn't deserve to lose everything because his mother was an idiot. I called Lisa. Hypothetically, if someone wanted to buy a house in foreclosure, how would that work? You'd negotiate with the bank or wait for the foreclosure auction. Why? Just curious. Ethan, please tell me you're not thinking about buying your old house back. I'm not thinking about it. I'm considering it. That's the same thing, and it's a terrible idea. You'll be paying twice for a house you already lost once. Let it go. What if I'm not buying it for me? Lisa was quiet. Then, you're thinking about Caleb. He's still my son. He's also the kid who helped his mother try to destroy you. He's 16. Stupid decisions at 16 shouldn't ruin your whole life. Ethan, I'm saying this as your lawyer and your friend. You don't owe him this. You don't owe either of them anything. I know. But knowing and accepting were different things. I contacted the bank, made an offer to purchase the house before the foreclosure auction. They were surprisingly agreeable. Foreclosures cost money and time, and a cash offer from someone who'd previously owned the property looked better than their other options. We closed 3 weeks later. I didn't tell Mara, didn't tell Caleb. The bank notified them that the debt was satisfied and the foreclosure canceled, but not who'd purchased it. Then I had Tom deliver a letter to Caleb. Just Caleb, not Mara. The letter was simple. The house is no longer in foreclosure. It's been purchased by a trust that will hold it until you turn 18. At that point, you can choose to buy it from the trust at cost, or you can walk away. Until then, the mortgage is paid and you can live there rent-free. But there are conditions. First, your mother moves out, immediately. This is not negotiable. Second, you finish high school, good grades, no trouble, graduate. Third, you get a job, part-time, something that teaches you responsibility. Fourth, you go to therapy. Real therapy with a real therapist to deal with what happened and why you made the choices you made. If you violate any of these conditions, the trust sells the house and you get nothing. If you meet all the conditions, the house is yours at 18 for exactly what I paid for it. This is not about forgiveness. This is about giving you a chance to not be an idiot for the rest of your life. The trust is managed by a lawyer you don't know. Don't try to contact me about this. Either take the deal or don't. Tom delivered it on a Tuesday afternoon. He called me that night. Caleb read it, didn't say much. But your ex-wife was there when I handed it over. She tried to demand information, threatened to sue, the usual. I told her she wasn't part of this and left. How did Caleb look? Confused, maybe a little hopeful, hard to read teenagers. 2 days later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Dad? Caleb's voice. Quiet. Uncertain. The letter said not to contact you. I know, but I needed to, I don't know, say something. You don't have to say anything, just decide if you're taking the deal or not. Why would you do this, after everything? Because you're 16, and because someone needs to give you a chance to not screw up your entire life? Mom's freaking out. She says you're trying to control us, that this is another scheme. Your mother can think whatever she wants. This isn't about her, it's about you. Take the deal or don't, but make the decision yourself, not because she tells you to. Silence on the line. Then, can I ask you something? What? Do you hate me? The question hit harder than I expected. I thought about it, really thought about it. No, I don't hate you. I'm disappointed. I'm angry about what you did, but I don't hate you. I'm sorry for all of it. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am sorry. Then prove it. Take the deal. Finish school. Become someone worth forgiving. Okay, I'll do it. Good. The lawyer will contact you about the details. And Caleb? Yeah? Your mother needs to be out of that house within a week. If she's not, the deal's off and the house goes on the market. I'll make sure she leaves. We hung up. I sat in my truck, staring at my phone, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Not satisfaction, not victory, just tired. So tired. Emma came home from school that afternoon, full of energy, telling me about her day. We made dinner together, her standing on a stool to help stir the pasta sauce. Daddy, are we going to stay in this house forever? I hope so, Princess. Why? Because I like it here. It feels safe. It is safe, I promise. She smiled and went back to stirring. Later, after she was asleep, I sat on the back porch and thought about the choices I'd made, the things I'd done, the revenge I'd taken, and the mercy I'd shown. Lisa had asked me once where the line was. When did you stop being the victim and become something else? I still didn't know the answer, but I knew I'd done what I needed to do. Protected my daughter, given my son a chance, made sure the people who'd tried to destroy me faced consequences. Whether that made me the hero or the villain of this story, I'd let someone else decide. I was just trying to survive. And maybe, finally, I was succeeding. 3 weeks after Caleb accepted the deal, Mara showed up at my work site. I was on a ladder, fixing a ceiling joist that the previous contractor had screwed up, when Pete called up to me. Ethan, you got a visitor. And she looks pissed. I came down to find Mara standing in the driveway, arms crossed, wearing jeans and a sweater I recognized from when we were still married. She looked tired. Older. We need to talk. No, we don't. You can't just kick me out of my house. It's not your house. It never was. You lost it to foreclosure. Someone else bought it. Not my problem. Don't play games, Ethan. I know you bought it. I know you're the one behind the trust. Prove it. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. What are you trying to do? Punish me? Control Caleb? This is sick. What's sick is using our son to run a rental scam. What's sick is faking police reports and trying to steal custody of Emma. What's sick is everything you did for a year to try to destroy me. I was trying to survive, to build a life that didn't revolve around your business and your schedule and your priorities. Then build it somewhere else. The house is for Caleb. You're not part of the deal. He's my son too. Then act like it. Stop using him. Stop dragging him into your schemes. Let him finish school and have a chance at a normal life. This is revenge. That's all this is. I met her eyes. No. Revenge would have been reporting the rental scam to the police and watching you both get charged with fraud. Revenge would have been making sure you never saw Emma again. Revenge would have been using every piece of dirt I found to destroy your reputation and your career. This is mercy. You're just too bitter to see it. She opened her mouth to respond, but I held up my hand. We're done, Mara. The divorce is final. Custody is settled. The house is handled. There's nothing left to discuss. Move on with your life and leave us alone. I turned and walked back to the ladder. She stood there for another minute, then left without another word. Pete came over, handed me a bottle of water. That looked fun? It wasn't. She give up? I don't think Mara knows how to give up, but she's out of options. And the kid? Caleb? We'll see. 2 months later, I got an update from the lawyer managing the trust. Caleb had enrolled in therapy. His grades had improved from failing to mostly B's. He'd gotten a job at a grocery store, working weekends. And Mara had moved out. She was living in a 1-bedroom apartment across town, working as a freelance consultant. He's meeting the conditions, the lawyer said. I'm honestly surprised. Most teenagers wouldn't have the discipline. He's motivated. Losing everything has a way of focusing the mind. There's something else. He asked if he could write you a letter. I told him the trust agreement didn't prohibit it, but that you weren't obligated to read it. Send it. The letter arrived 3 days later, handwritten on lined paper, the kind torn from a school notebook. Dad, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if you care, but I wanted to tell you what's been happening. Mom moved out like you said. She was mad at first, said I was choosing you over her, but I told her this wasn't about choosing, it was about not being homeless. I've been seeing a therapist, Dr. Murray. He's old and kind of boring, but he asks good questions. He made me write down everything that happened from my perspective. Reading it back made me realize how stupid I was, how easily Mom convinced me you were the problem when you weren't. I lied about you, to my friends, to the court, to myself. I told myself I was protecting Mom, but really I was just going along with what was easy. Easier to blame you than to admit Mom was lying. Easier to be on her side than to question what we were doing. The therapist says I was manipulated. Maybe that's true, but I'm 16. I should have known better. Work is weird. My boss is this guy named Rick, who's really into CrossFit and makes everyone listen to his theories about protein shakes. But it's good. Gives me something to do besides think about how I screwed up. School is better. Turns out when you actually do the homework, grades improve. Who knew? Sarah won't talk to me. I tried to apologize, but she said I burned that bridge. I get it. I don't know why you did this. Gave me the house. Gave me a chance. After what I did, you should hate me. Maybe you do hate me, and this is just you being practical. Making sure I don't end up another statistic. Or maybe some part of you still thinks I'm worth saving. Either way, thank you. I'm trying to be better. To be someone you wouldn't be ashamed of. I know I don't have the right to ask for forgiveness. But maybe someday you'll let me try to earn it. Caleb. I read it twice, then folded it and put it in my desk drawer. Emma found it a week later while looking for tape. What's this? A letter from Caleb. She unfolded it before I could stop her, read it quickly. He says he's sorry. He is. Do you believe him? I don't know yet. Emma was quiet for a moment. I miss him sometimes, not the way he was at the end, but before, when he used to help me with my homework and let me watch him play basketball. You can miss who someone was without wanting them back in your life. Is he ever coming back? That's up to him. He has to finish the deal first, and then we'll see. She nodded, refolded the letter, and put it back in the drawer. That night, I wrote a response. Short, direct. Caleb, keep meeting the conditions, finish school, be better. When you turn 18, we'll talk. Until then, focus on yourself. Dad. I sent it through the lawyer. Life continued. Work stayed busy. Emma thrived in her new school. We established routines, traditions, inside jokes. We went to the beach on Sundays when weather allowed. We had movie nights on Fridays. We were building something new, but I kept Caleb's letter, and 6 months later, when I got another update from the lawyer, I paid attention. Caleb's maintained all the conditions, his grades are up, he's still working, he's been in therapy consistently, and he's applied to community colleges for next year. Good for him. He asked if you'd be willing to meet, just once, before he turns 18. I thought about it. Tell him if he graduates high school with a B average or better, I'll meet him. He's at a B+ currently. Then he'll make it. Graduation was in May. I didn't attend, but I watched from my truck in the parking lot as Caleb walked across the stage in his cap and gown, shook hands with the principal, and received his diploma. Mara was there, sitting alone in the bleachers. She looked small, diminished. I didn't feel bad for her, but I didn't feel satisfaction either. Just emptiness where anger used to be. 2 weeks later, I met Caleb at a diner in Worcester. Neutral ground. Public? He was taller than I remembered. Leaner. He'd cut his hair short and had stubble on his jaw that made him look older than 17. We sat across from each other in a booth, ordered coffee, didn't speak for a long moment. You came, he finally said. You graduated. That was the deal. I got into Quinsigamond Community College. Business program start in the fall. Good. The house, I'm keeping it. Buying it from the trust like you said. I've been saving from my job. I have enough for the down payment. Then it's yours. More silence. Then Caleb set his coffee down. I need to say this, even if you don't want to hear it. I was wrong. About everything. I lied about you because Mom convinced me it was necessary, and I didn't question it because questioning meant admitting she wasn't perfect. I let you lose months of your life fighting something that never should have happened. I helped them try to take Emma from you. I was part of something that could have destroyed you. He looked up, meeting my eyes for the first time. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I'd forgive me, but I needed you to know that I understand what I did. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be better than that. I studied him, looking for the kid who'd let strangers into my house, who'd lied to his friends, who'd sided with his mother over the truth. I saw someone different, someone who'd grown up fast and hard. Words are easy, Caleb. Staying better is hard. I know, but I'm going to try. Then that's all I can ask. We finished our coffee, talked about his plans for college, his job, safe topics. As we were leaving, he stopped me. Emma, would she ever want to see me? That's up to her. I won't push either way. Could you at least tell her I asked? I'll tell her. We parted in the parking lot. He went to a beat-up Honda he'd apparently bought himself. I went to my truck. I didn't know if this was the end of the story or the beginning of something else, but I knew I'd done what I could, given him a chance, set boundaries, made him earn his way back. The rest was up to him. That night, I told Emma about the meeting. How was he? Different, older. Do you think he meant it, about being sorry? I think he's trying to mean it. Whether that sticks, time will tell. She thought about that. I don't want to see him yet. Maybe someday, but not yet. That's fair. Do you think you'll ever forgive him? I don't know, Princess. Some things take a long time to forgive, maybe forever. That's sad. Sometimes sad is just how things are. She hugged me. I'm glad we're okay. Just us. Me too. And I meant it. We were okay. More than okay. We'd survived. Both of us. And that was enough.